Commission meeting to order. Let's start with roll call. Andy Coughlin here, Jim Figurski here, Kathy Nagel-Hood.
She is not able to make it
Okay.
tonight.
Sean Quinlivan.
See him on.
Okay. Tom Schmidt
Here.
Heidi Slaybaugh
Here.
Okay. And we do have a confirmed quorum with four here. We now go to the next first item on the agenda. Visitors for general comments and questions from the publics for topics not on the agenda. Are there any comments from visitors not on the agenda? Do we have any attendees online?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't see any this time.
Okay, moving forward to item 2 on the agenda, the quasi-judicial public hearing number PLHIS 2024-0199. The applicant is Nancy Kramer. The location is 805 Northwest Georgia Avenue in Bend. The request is for historic review application for the request to replace original wood windows in a historic home located in the Old Town Historic District. Okay, this is a de novo hearing and initial evidentiary hearing of application PLHIS 2024-0199. This application is a request for to replace original wood windows in a historic home located in the Old Town Historic District. The applicant has the burden of proof that he or she is entitled to the approval sought. The applicable criteria for this application include the Bend Urban Area Comprehensive Plan, Chapter 3, and Chapter 10.20 Historic Preservation Code, and the Secretary of the Interior Standards for the Treatment of Historic Properties. Testimony and evidence at this hearing must be directed toward the criteria set forth in the staff report or other criteria at the Bend General Plan or Bend Development Code that you believe is applicable, or any other criteria in the National Register of Historic Places program that any person believes apply to this decision. Failure on the part of any person to raise an issue with sufficient specificity to afford the landmarks commissioners and parties to this proceeding an opportunity to respond to the issue precludes appeal to the City Council or Land Use Board of Appeals on that issue. Additionally, failure of the applicant to raise constitutional or other issues related to the proposed conditions of approval with sufficient specificity to allow the Landmarks Commission to respond to the issue precludes an action for damages in circuit court. The hearing will be conducted in the following order. 1, the staff will give a report. 2, the applicant will then have the opportunity to offer testimony and evidence. 3, proponents of the application will then be given a chance to testify and present evidence. 4, when all proponents have testified, opponents to the appeal will then be given a chance to testify and present evidence. 5, after both proponents and opponents have testified, the applicant will be allowed to present rebuttal testimony, but may not present new evidence. 6, at the Landmark Commission's discretion, if the proponents present a new evidence on rebuttal, opponents may be recognized for a rebuttal presentation. 7, at the conclusion of the hearing, the staff will be afforded an opportunity to make any closing comments. The commission may limit the time period for this presentation. Before the close of the hearing, any person has the right to request an opportunity to present additional evidence, argument, or testimony regarding the application. If the hearing is continued or the record left open, the applicant shall be allowed at least 7 days after the record is closed to all other parties to submit final written arguments, but no new evidence in support of the application. Do any of the commissioners have any ex parte contacts, prior hearing observations, biases, or conflicts of interest to declare? If so, please state the nature and extent of those. Hearing none. Does any party wish to challenge any commissioner based on ex parte contacts, biases, or conflicts of interest? None. Hearing no challenges, I will proceed with the staff report.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Heidi Kennedy. I'm the staff planner for this application, which is number PLHIS 2024-0199. The location of this property is at 805 Northwest Georgia Avenue. This is a request to replace all the windows in the home and repair the rock pony walls along the existing stairs leading up to the front porch. All of the original windows were removed and replaced with new windows prior to submitting of this application request. And so the applicant is proposing now that they've submitted their application to remove the newly installed windows and replace them with aluminum clad wood windows. And the applicable criteria that staff used to review this application request was Ben Code Chapter 10.20 Historic Preservation Code and Chapter 4.1, the Development Review and Procedures Code. And on page 12 of the staff report, I'd like to go through my recommendation. The staff recommends that the Landmark Commission approve the proposed new aluminum clad wood windows, provided that the light styles of the proposed windows are similar to the original windows and the new casings and sills match the original window designs. Staff also recommends that the 2 historic front windows be reinstalled in the front facade of the dwelling and restored. I believe that the window restoration work for those windows on the primary facade of the dwelling would be a good candidate for a future historic preservation restoration grant that we offer with our grants every 18 months cycles that we have. Staff also recommends that the applicant provide additional information or clarification on how specifically the pony walls will be fixed or restored. They look like they're in pretty bad shape. So, however, in general, staff recommends the commission approve repairing the pony walls and replacing the cement walkway as proposed. And in the event the commission approves this application, staff recommends the following conditions of approval. 1, prior to issuance of building permits, the applicant submits a standard details checklist for the planning division just to review and approve and make sure that it's in compliance with your decision tonight. And then the staff also recommends the applicant inform the Landmarks Commission staff of any modifications to the approval and proposal if they arise during construction, which often happens with historic homes. And all the changes are required to be reviewed and approved prior to doing any of the changing, to the proposal. And that's all I have at this point.
Thank you, Heidi. Are there any questions from commissioners to staff? Heidi, the front 2 windows are available but not installed.
Yeah, when I saw the windows being taken out and new ones put in, we put a stop work order, and we talked to the building a contractor at the time, and I said, leave those windows there, leave them on site. And the other ones were not available on site, but so that they're on the front porch.
Oh,
yeah.
When was the stop work order?
Well, it was not an official stop work order, because they were also applying for building permits for interior remodels work. And so I got that come across my desk for the interior work, and then went down there and realized what was going on with the outside work. And so I failed that permit. So it's kind of a stop work on that.
And when did that
happen? That happened earlier this spring.
Okay.
Yes. And Nancy's here today representing herself on the
Sure.
application.
And so to your knowledge, the vinyl windows were installed recently?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, and there was some, once I wrote the staff report, Nancy contacted me via email and explained to me that they're not vinyl. But that I didn't check them really close. I just know they were new ones that were put in, and the original ones were taken out. You can see that in some of the photos of my staff report, but she says they are not vinyl. So,
but
are they?
Yeah, but
oh, I didn't.
Okay.
We didn't get cut sheet information on the ones that are in there, but they do not look like aluminum clad wood windows from the exterior.
okay. Any more questions for staff?
Just
Yeah.
to be clear, so the staff report indicates that the applicant was replacing all of the apparently vinyl window or all windows with a aluminum clad wood window.
Yes.
So all of those other windows, whatever they are
Yeah.
going to be replaced with aluminum.
Wood windows, this is a
wood windows.
proposal.
And except for the two front windows.
That was staff's
That was
recommendation.
the recommendation. Okay. Clear on that, thank you.
Okay. Now we have the opportunity to hear from the applicant. If the applicant will please come forward and state your name.
Good evening, guys. My name is Nancy Kramer.
Nancy.
Hi.
And so can you just tell us what you're here for today?
Well, what I'm here for is just kind of explain why we are in the position that we're in. I hired a contractor to do the renovation on that home. He assured me that he was familiar with this type of renovation. That was not true. We actually had an arbitration hearing with him, mediation actually, with the CCB this morning. And we are going to court, because right in his contract, he was supposed to pull all the permits. He was understood that it was a historic house. And he assured me everything was going the way that it was supposed to go. And obviously that's not true. So he made the decision to install those composite windows because what he told me was they are lower maintenance. They are longer lasting. No, so I was like, okay, that's good. That's what that's what I want. Additionally, I had concerns about egress from the building because none of the windows were operational. The glass was very brittle. Many of them were broken either in a major way or minor. So the decision was made to replace all those windows rather than leave them in. And again, we made the decision to go with a composite, not vinyl, because of the architectural significance of the home. Vinyl was not gonna be appropriate. So that's where we are. I'm basically wanting to do this the way it needs to be done. And, so whatever your recommendations are, that's what we want to do. I wish we could keep the windows that were in there. I really do, but I understand.
Okay. Yeah.
We need information on what these windows are to evaluate if any of them.
Our plan was to reinstall exterior trim that matched what was there, so it would have that appearance. I understand there's concern about the lights, and the windows that we installed are slightly different. I understand, the desire to match those, but the objective was to put all that trim on exactly the way it was before.
And that will be new trim or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The other trim had 4,000 coats of paint on it, probably lead paint. I just felt that it was best to start new with the trim, but have it be architecturally appropriate.
Do you have any comments on the little rock wall?
The rock walls, as you can see, somebody painted them blue. The cap on the one that's missing was broken in several pieces when I acquired the property. The steps are too shallow. And they are not level. So they're a safety hazard. So what I was proposing, I'm not sure whether that got translated to you, but I wanted to repair those pony walls and then put in wood steps over those concrete so that they are the proper rise and the proper width, and then replace that front walk, which was badly heaved. And as a matter of fact, subcontractors were tripping over it multiple times a day. So I finally removed it, again, not realizing that I needed to check with you guys before I did something like that. So I'm here with kind of my hat in my hand to say,
I did not do this correctly, but I will make it as right as I can.
So I have the narrative exhibit A0 from the application materials that show the photos of the outside of the existing windows that are in there, the new windows. If you'd like me to share that, or,
If you can
Yeah.
pull it up.
okay.
Please.
I was also, I had considerations about, I'm also a realtor, so I'm aware that the home is gonna require an energy score before I sell it. And that is another thing driving, putting in high quality, energy efficient windows in the home. So that a buyer would come in and they would have that safety of that egress that they, wouldn't have had with the existing windows. And they would have that energy efficiency and a good energy score.
The front walk, are you just planning on like to replace that with just concrete?
I'm sorry,
The front walk?
it was just
replace it with
concrete, yeah. I somewhere have a photo of it, but it basically had heaved like this much, so that if you were coming up, you would trip over it. I had, I will do what you recommend, replace the concrete. I have pavers that I can install if those would be appropriate. Anything you guys recommend?
And then on the pony walls, it looks like maybe they had like a skim coat on them in that one picture. It looks like so that the block wasn't exposed, like a concrete coating. Am I seeing that right? On that top picture,
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Fine. Let's see.
on that page you were on.
Oh, I'm sorry. This one?
Nope. A close up of the pony wall,
Okay.
That one.
that one. Yeah, it looks like it has like a skim coating on the top. Maybe has chipped off the bottom two blocks.
Like right here.
Yes. Underneath the cap.
Sorry, right here.
So I don't know if the intent is
Is that
to,
a single piece?
I mean, that I thought was criminal, that somebody painted that blue, so that's, at the very least, that was going to be restored.
so we just need to know, are you gonna coat it or is they gonna be exposed blocks?
I think Jan was proposing to sandblast it to restore the original stone, and then, have another cap
Mhm.
poured to match the other side. I had hoped to maybe remove them and put in a wood railing, but I understand that because they've been a part of the home for some time, that they should remain.
So I'll steer you away from sandblasting, because that will destroy the stone.
Okay,
underneath.
I'll,
But Heidi can give you reference on how
Okay.
to remove paint from.
I thought they were a lost cause, that's
Yeah.
why, in terms
The one on
of
the left
restoring.
side is in pretty bad shape. You
Yeah.
can see that.
It was in terrible shape when I acquired the property, which is why I kind of made the decision that those were a lost cause. But they appear to be something that we have to address properly, obviously, so. But I had proposed putting in a wood railing or even a wrought iron, something that would match the craftsman style.
You can still add a railing for safety.
Okay, but the pony walls remaining,
Yeah,
okay.
that's such a minor addition.
Yeah,
Just look at way it's installed.
I just, the stairs, as you can see, are not, they're so shallow that contractors were tripping up those as well, so I had suggested putting just a new set of wood steps over all of it, but then we wouldn't have to go to the expense of removing all that concrete. Up to you guys.
I keep asking questions. It's
Go ahead.
our role
Yeah.
for here.
Sure.
Okay, so. That's one of them. Thank you for clarifying, because I saw the landscape narrative said. well, the landscape narrative says two things, remove.
Aluminum window that was there with that one. And eliminate that window so that I could have more wall space in the existing kitchen. Which had been a kind of utility room when I acquired the property, but the kitchen is something like 10 by 8. So I needed all the wall space I could
Mhm.
get, so that's why I made that decision to do that.
That then explains where the new siding is coming in too.
Yeah, we're gonna do that, match that existing siding.
Heidi, did your staff report address this window removal?
Yeah, I mean. It seems like on page 6 of my staff report, you can see a street view from 2019. Where there's, they've got some, windows that are crammed together. And the siding, of course, is easy to get copies of that siding to replace that. All the windows that are in there installed now don't really match the rise and rung, all the design of the original windows. So that's what I was pointing out there on with that. Does that answer your question?
And then are windows getting replaced on the opposite of the Wall Street? Oh, the plan. Do you know which side that is?
The side yard,
On the side yard
East.
and the back.
they're
Back.
proposing that one, here's the windows. That are in there now.
I didn't see that in that window information,
Um,
but then 11, 12, 13, and 14 are on the list. So it's like,
Right.
where are they?
right, I pointed that out, I think in the narrative, it's not there, all of the materials that are in the file aren't completely. Consistent. And so, they do have that proposal in that, but it wasn't showing in there, but they said it's in the narrative, and that's what they've got here is pictures of it in the narrative. So not everything was matching all the uploaded documents.
So the composite windows. We don't know, looks like they're Anderson in the picture.
Yeah.
I'm reading that right.
Yes.
Are they a fiberglass or?
I probably should have gotten the details on that windows. I thought that Yod had sent that to you, but apparently not. But they're not vinyl and they're not wood. I would say fiberglass would be the closest descriptor. But they are a more fire resistant, rot resistant window. Again, which is why we made the decision to choose those.
I'm not sure Anderson even discloses exactly what they are. It's like a
Okay.
proprietary composite product. It's not vinyl, but it's not clear exactly what it is.
Where I'm going with my questioning is if these are a type of window that could be approved for the side elevations, if.
That are not visible.
Right, that, if they match the opening size and. I mean, it looks like. Like that picture of the bay window, it looks like that one was a double hung,
Yeah, and then they got a solid one in the middle.
right?
Without
So
without
that
the,
fits, so that's an easy.
well, I mean, with
window.
the bar there.
Oh, it does,
Yeah,
yeah,
it did.
can't see that in this picture.
Yeah,
So, I
yeah.
mean, a lot of window manufacturers, I mean, they're all simulated divided lights anyway.
So like in this 2019 photo, you could see there was the divided lights, the divides
The
there.
double hungs on the side and the cottage style in the middle, but
Yeah.
the middle one was fixed.
I don't know about that, it just shows the bar,
Mm,
and then these are different. So everything's different, that
Mhm.
the dimensions are different on the front facade one, so that was my concern.
So do you have pictures of those two little ones in
Yes,
in the pictures?
yeah, let's see. What in this?
It's not in,
exhibit.
yeah, it's not in the
Minute.
staff report.
Let's find, I'll find it on,
Okay.
Talking about the small Muntin windows.
Well,
Yeah, those ones. Yeah.
I'll stop sharing for a second. You don't go crazy.
she's looking at windows. Go back to talking about entry walk and cheek walls and the caps and the stairs.
I do have one other question, just trying to determine, and it's more for information in the photos. It looks like the foundation is basically concrete that's been painted over. But it also looks like there may be trim board over the concrete in some places, but not everywhere. I'm just trying to get it
On the house itself.
on the house, yeah. Around it, from what I've seen, some of the photos. Were not in the staff report, but they were in the online packages. I don't know if that's necessarily important or relevant, it's just something that was bugging my eyes.
Want to know, inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah, I mean, just
Painted blue. Yeah, you know.
whether that trim was historic or something that, again, it seems like a lot may have been added to this house over time. I would just say too, I agree with you, not sandblasting the paint off the pony walls. I mean, the age of the paint, in the
Right,
house,
Yod said, oh, we can sandblast it, and I went, I don't know,
Yeah.
that's probably limestone, and I'm not sure.
well, and if there's lead in the paint, you have to do a lot of abatement
True.
as
true.
well.
And we already went through
Okay.
asbestos abatement in that property, so I don't wanna go through that again.
Yeah, they're probably just lava rock basalt, maybe even some tough stone.
Mhm.
Don't have much limestone over here.
I'm not finding it right away. I thought for sure we had some photos there.
Okay.
I don't believe there's
What photos are
any
you looking
grids
for?
on those windows, those smaller windows on.
Oh, the one on either side of
Yeah.
I was looking too.
I don't think there's any grids on those.
There are,
There are.
they were gridded on the top.
No, I meant the new windows that are in there right now.
Oh, I'm pretty sure there are, but the burden of proof is on me there. It's definitely time to delete some photos from my phone.
Any other questions for the applicant?
I mean, we got a couple details, pony wall detail and elevation. But as Heidi Kennedy said, we need descriptions of how the restoration of the caps and the rock base will be done. Make sure it meets Secretary of Interior standards for removing paint on stone. And then if this is construction detail, want to make sure you're calling out, if your corners are chamfered or rounded or east corners on the concrete wall. Probably have a slight slope to them too, so that they don't hold all the water and snow like the old ones that were super flat did.
I guess I'm not really clear on how you overframe wood steps on top of stone steps unless you extend the landing, extend the deck.
I didn't measure to see, but when I was discussing, I actually had some contractors come in and give me estimates for doing that, and they all seemed like it wasn't gonna be an issue at all. So, I'm assuming since they gave me an estimate to do the work, that it's possible. I'm not a contractor, unfortunately, so
Right,
that's why I hire them.
yeah.
Yeah. There are 3 risers there now. And they look short, and the top one looks different from the other 2. I agree, I'm not sure. Without either further, well, increasing the risers on 2 and. I don't know how you get there without,
And we can remove those steps. There's an expense involved, of course, but if to get the steps to look the way they should, if that has to happen, then that will happen.
So as part of the interior renovation, you don't have any other exterior elements that you were planning to modify other than what we're presenting here? Okay. Well, should we move on if, are you still looking for, okay,
Sorry.
okay. Anything else, from you, Ms. Kramer?
No, I
Okay.
just, we want to get the project moving forward, obviously. We're 4 months over when I should have listed the property, and
Yeah,
it's a costly thing to carry a property like that, so, our interest is just doing what we need to do to get the project moving forward.
okay. Excellent, thanks. If you might, could you stay sitting there in case we have any more questions for you that come up later? You'll be near the microphone.
Sure.
Right now, we have the opportunity.
Not a ton of people.
There's not a ton of people in here.
so-
Any proponents that wish to testify? Now is your opportunity.
Is there anybody online?
There's no.
Okay, and therefore no opponents are also online. So with that, I will have the public hearing completed, and we can talk and I request supplemental information. Anyone want to start off with their initial impressions?
Well, Heidi, I'm curious about your idea of if the side windows are compliant. And if we have enough information to evaluate that.
Mhm. I saw in the online file, there was a window inventory form. It's
Mhm.
not filled out.
That was what I was giving them as a copy to do
Okay.
for the windows. And that was what I uploaded and sent to them before I realized that they had, all the rest of them had been removed from the property, except for the ones on the
Two front ones.
2
Okay.
front ones.
Um,
So then they included their documents.
yeah, I mean, short of having a hodgepodge of different windows throughout the house, I always try to work with property owners, like, I want you to
Yeah,
save what you can, but then every room's gonna have a different window in it if we say, go ahead and keep them on the inside yard side. But front keeps the historic windows, and then the side has new aluminum clad wood windows, like there's.
Yeah.
But, so so I'm just kind of going in order from the curb. We've got, one would be the entry walk. I don't have any problem replacing a concrete entry walk.
the sidewalk from the house to the
Sidewalks from the
prop-
curb to the
Yeah.
front. The pony walls are being restored, paint gonna be replaced or cleaned off. You'll give the Secretary of Interior standards or the tech,
for paint removal.
yeah, for paint removal. The replacement of the caps. Just make sure that they're I encourage a beveled edge so they don't chip. And if they want to do a slight slope to them, we allowed the school district to do that when they replaced all their huge caps, to do a slight slope or even a ridge, just so water and
Water
snow
drops.
drains off. Next item is the stairs. I would suggest we see the detail from a contractor on how they're going to install wood stairs, with a modern rise and run over concrete. And if we feel like they don't, it's not gonna work, then we might come back to you and say the concrete needs to be, if you can't just repair them in place, then it might have to be a remove and replace of the concrete stairs, be my suggestion.
That would be something we could do without a hearing,
Mhm.
right? We could do on a
Direct staff to.
direct.
Yep.
Okay.
Then, item 4 is the window replacement, and that's a multiple parter. I confirm or agree with staff to reinstall the 2 front historic windows. I think that is of utmost importance on the front facade. That's maybe my 4A. My 4B would be, I'm gonna just go ahead and say, replace all of them with the aluminum frame. Aluminum clad wood windows. Matching the historic proportions and the simulated divided lights where they were. See that now. Did have a question I saw in the staff report that you were suggesting that the Ogie lug was on the historic windows. And I
Yeah,
didn't know if, I didn't see that in Geldwin's cut sheets or their proposal that lugs were being.
I did not see
divided.
that on there. It's not really traditional or standard, I think, for window manufacturers necessarily.
No.
So, I thought, of anything, the most important thing is the front facade and that design.
That's an interior element of the window, is that right?
No, it's exterior.
It's an exterior element.
That little
Yeah.
piece right there.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think if we're able to restore the 2 front windows and keep those, having lugs on the sides
probably not
is
that
not a
important.
not
Yeah,
a big deal.
that's
to
what I was,
Me and my humble opinion.
that was staff's opinion of myself as well as, it seems like it's a really added extra.
Yeah, that would
Special
add a lot.
order.
And then, yeah, just coordinating, the Geldwin inventory with this window schedule. And seeing getting an image of the other side of the building.
Mhm. I don't think there's any historic pictures of that side yard. Not visible from the public right of way as well. On the west facade,
Mhm.
north, the fence that's existing there is pretty tall along. Wall Street, you can't simply see the back. The back window as well.
Does any other commissioner have anything to add or propose a revision to to what Heidi's slave laws it laid out?
No, I would agree with Heidi's summation there. It sounds like it's pretty close to a motion.
It's just discussion.
Pretty close to
Merely a
motion.
discussion.
Anything else, Tom?
I do think replacing the windows with aluminum clad wood is probably the right choice, even though it's unfortunate to have to take them out. Because it's what we've approved on other projects, and I also would be concerned about precedent setting if we use other products.
And you agree with the um putting back the historic windows in the front?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, I tend to agree with all of these. I don't really understand how you remove paint, but I think that's I tend to sort of defer to what the historic write-up describes. They describe double hung windows. I know that wasn't every window, but really trying to take any information about before these windows were replaced and match the appearance of them from that era. And understanding that we don't have a very old photo of the property, or at least
Just the
one
front
that you can
facade.
see the
Just the
windows
front
really,
facade.
yeah, just the front facade, which we already feel confident we're in the windows that we would recommend to put there. Yeah, I think the caps. These that's a significant front facade element, and demoing the stone pony walls would be, I think, detrimental to the historic value of this and in its prominent location and the value to the district. And so I would right now say we probably are ready for a motion from somebody.
One more item to add.
Okay,
Applicant mentioned the desire to install a handrail on the stairs, so I think adding a handrail along, with the details from the contractor on how they're gonna replace the stairs, see what they like to propose a handrail. Ideally, it's installed into the new stairs and the porch and not into the concrete cap or the cheek walls. Be mounted on the ground up. So that can be an administrative review item.
And you were suggesting material, either wrought iron or
Yeah.
steel of some sort. I'd hate to see a pipe railing up here.
No,
If you're doing all this, I don't think she's gonna
Yep.
do that.
no, it's. that would be painful.
Yeah. Well, I was kind of thinking of your original contractor, who sounds like that person has been placed.
Original contractor and I,
it's just a day of hearings for you, isn't it?
yeah, he didn't pull a single permit, didn't do any of the phasing properly, and so now I have all my capital tied up and I can't get anything from the lender without permits. So it just keeps piling on, so we gotta move forward somehow.
Now that I'm a voting member, I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Oh,
One
you're
other
thinking.
question is the original cap that fell off, is it still intact?
No,
You can see it's right there, kind of
The pieces in front,
right there.
Yeah,
This is the front.
it's
it's broken in half
disintegrated.
actually
Okay,
also.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's an opportunity to salvage the original cap. It won't look that different. It just won't be blue.
Yeah, even if you glued it together, it would look like you glued it together, I think, so.
There's gonna be some repair of the actual rock wall itself. I mean, how would we feel if, rather than trying to remove paint off of stone, if these just could be rebuilt, demoed and rebuilt? Does anyone have any heartache about that?
no, I think as long as scale and proportion is the same. Yeah, I mean. I'm not sure if that's basalt or not, given it looks like how easily it might have fractured on top.
Well, the top would be concrete, yeah.
Well, yeah, on the left-hand side. In the photos, it looked like there might have been some damage to stone or either a whole lot of mortar.
Looks like they might have, done some repair. Here's like the original grout line.
Yeah.
That's why that top looks like it.
Yeah.
Actually, looks like that one stone is leaning left.
Could we make it an option to either restore to original or replace with?
I'd be okay with that.
I would
That'd be fine with.
make a suggestion that we say demo the walls and the stairs, rebuild the walls in concrete, and we'll let you put in new cheek walls.
Mhm.
Be concrete with a veneer on them and a nice new cap.
Yeah, just make it look the same and.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
same
same size.
portion,
Concrete
everything.
stairs are gonna look and last you a lot longer than a wood stair that's somehow built over the concrete stairs.
Sure,
And the
We can make that an
dimensions are
option. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, we don't know how it's gonna pencil out for
Yeah.
feasibility and costs and stuff, so,
Mhm.
all right, well. Motion
Now you
away,
made my motion confusing.
yeah,
I can do it. I would like to make a motion that we approve PLHIS 2024-0119 with the following conditions of approval. The two recommendations from staff. The next being that the entry walk is acceptable to be removed and replaced with concrete. That the pony walls with the caps are restored per Secretary of Interior standards. Or replaced in kind with a veneer because the building code won't allow you to do a stone wall anymore. The next item being the either restoration of the stairs or replacement of the stairs. And we will also review a contractor's recommendation to rebuild either in concrete or with a wood stair over the existing concrete. So option on that item. My fourth additional condition of approval is the replacement of the windows. So the first part of that is restoring and reinstalling the historic windows on the front facade. Replacing the rest of the windows with the Geldwin provided windows, ensuring that the size with operation and the divided lights match the historic pattern of the divided lights. That the window inventory is coordinated with the Geldwin's cut sheets, so the numbers coordinate, so we have that as a record in our file.
Okay.
And if there are any other photos from the other missing side elevation. And then the fifth additional condition of approval is applicant to provide a handrail proposal for administrative review for installation at the front stairs.
Are the new aluminum clad wood windows, those are Jeld-Wen?
Yes,
The only addition I think we could make is to clarify that it's okay to change the rise and run of the stairs to meet current building code.
yes, details of the stairs. I friendly amendment that we are good with them not being replaced exactly the way they are, but being to current code of rise and run. Thank you.
okay, so we'll call that the original motion. Do we have a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Okay, Jim seconds. Any discussion or any changes to the motion? Are we ready to vote? All in favor of the motion as presented, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstention? Motion carries.
Okay. Now we can move forward.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ms. Kramer.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Oh, we approved the minutes at the end of the,
Yeah, it's just the
Yeah.
way that they were wanting me to match the landmarks or the
Okay.
planning commission.
yeah. They should match us.
I know, that's what I was thinking.
So right now we have continued discussion, item 3 on the agenda, continued discussion of the Bend Historic Code audit project materials created by Peter Meyer Architect.
Yeah, I know we've been putting this off for several times, so we have more people in attendance. I don't know if we was like. Need to just say that's probably not gonna happen, you know, that everyone's here or, I mean, yeah. So if, we got through the last time that we talked about it, all the design review stuff. Heidi sent me a bunch of items back in April as well in response to that, but we haven't really tackled the actual other parts of the code. We also have the example that he has, we could go through the architectural detail example that he included with the work that he had done. We could kind of raise up our roll up our sleeves and kind of work on some more stuff. I don't know how you guys feel and wanted to handle that.
Yeah, I'd say,
What's the best
We-
way to really tackle this?
so at this point, we have his recommended changes to the code in like a draft form that we.
Right. Right. Then we went through just that design review chapter, section of the code. in
Yeah.
April, and there was lots of comments and suggestions and edits, but we didn't really tackle any of the other items that he had talked about in the different sections. We just tackled the meat of the, but, so we haven't really gone through his recommendations for the rest of the code, which we've always talked about. And then he has the design information that he put together. And then here's what you sent me, Heidi, as far as right after the meeting with some links, and recommendations. So we could talk about those. That's kind of offshoot of the design review chapter. I don't know what you.
Well, if you can connect to that screen, I can walk through what I
Okay, might be a good way to start,
Sent,
kind of
yeah.
get back into it.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then I started marking up. That's what I do. The design examples. That he
Okay.
provided.
yeah, so we can
And
go through
he had
those.
some questions on there. Just, adding more notes to them and that
Okay.
so I can send you
All right.
that
So
too.
I would recommend that we spend a few minutes working on this and making some more progress.
I agree.
That's your. Want to blow it up?
Please.
Oh, that's two. That's a little bit better now. And then you can full screen it, maybe. Probably not.
Well, it's gonna.
It's gonna, yeah, you gotta. Just gotta find the right.
Says I'm sharing with it, just sharing that
Oh,
screen.
show your share. And then. There. Maybe I can share. And there you go, and then. You can, on the screen, you can. Maybe a little bit really. Is that pretty good?
There's.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
So I have written design guidelines for a couple of jurisdictions, and so I didn't write any of the ones I'm showing you, but it just Baker City's had some good information in here. And well, first of all, there's two different things. There's code and then there's design guidelines typically. So that's like a supplement to our code that has the graphic information in it. Now you're gonna have to see why I sent you this. I don't know.
Because I think we always talked,
Process would be
you guys always
helpful.
talked about the training guidelines as phase 2 of it.
Mm-hmm. So, Baker City does a really nice job of outlining what's the design review process for people. And then if you have an alteration, you have a new construction, demolition, signs, we don't do paint color review here. So that was nice to have for somebody, to be like, hey, Mrs. Kramer, this is what you do. This is the process you go through, right?
Mhm.
most design guidelines have a history of the town. We don't need all of that. Let me just close your eyes if you get seasick, like I do. Probably a page down, but. Okay. Criteria for review, we always talk about that. This is, you'll see the code, I mean, they have the code sections in here, so I don't know if Baker City doesn't have their own preservation code. Everything is in this. And happily viewing that it looks the same as ours because they should all be taken from the Secretary of Interior standards. That's why sometimes if Peter was suggesting some changes, it was like, oh, that's National Park Service language. Okay. But trying to think if there was, a couple things like actually separating out, you know, we have roofs, but separating out lighting and other. Somebody help me out. How do you have elements on the building? Nobody can help me read that word. You guys can't. Read it from here.
Appurtenances.
Appurtenances. Right. Windows and doors would be really helpful to have that as kind of a separate little section. I definitely encourage that we get new construction out of additions and remodels. They got combined at one
Yeah,
point.
and then, yeah, it really needs that
Mhm.
really needs to be changed.
And then, so then they do have, which I always think is helpful when you see what's recommended and what's not recommended. This is different than in our case, but scale is really helpful. Like, we don't want it to be that. So you can see it on the screen. I won't go through the whole thing down there. Let me go to the next link.
Uh-oh, got lost you.
Yeah. I
What
went out.
happened?
I went out. I hit stop share.
Oh, you did, okay.
Yeah. Let me go back to the email.
Okay. I know.
Okay, so that was the idea of going through multiple design reviews, you know, the alterations, the additions, new construction, separating them out. This one had some good language for
You're not sharing.
the share button though.
You have to say yes. So you highlight it and then you have to. There you go.
All right. For new additions. Well, this is straight from the National Park Service. So they have some new information on their website about new additions to historic buildings. That I thought would be great to add. To meet standard 1, which states property shall be placed in a new use that requires minimal change to defining characteristics. What are we doing? Are we doing code upgrades, spatial needs? It just gives more information on why we're making these changes, and maybe we don't need this necessarily. But this was good. A new addition must preserve the historic building's form, envelope, significant materials, features, etc. Which is just a nice way to put it straight out there as a blanket statement.
It might be, I mean, it's one thing that I always struggle with in my mind when looking at things is at the very beginning too, to just, I'm not sure if the National Code said describe the intent and difference, if any, between contributing and non-contributing. Because that always, you know, when we're looking at a non-contributing building, I think I've asked the question before, is our intent to bring it into a contributing status? Or
Right.
what's the intent of our?
Yeah, the intent. So I know I do design reviews for different neighborhood organizations, and a lot of times in the application, what's your design intent?
Yeah.
right? And the owner needs to provide that in their burden of proof. Because I think you're right. I mean, you are right in your opinion, that a lot of times we get confused on if it's a non-contributing building. Well, if we did an addition and we're continuously making it more non-contributing, or we could do an addition and some restoration work that could bring it back. So contributing, non-contributing, and what the difference is in our review for each one would be helpful to have in there. So
Yeah.
this document from the National Park Service, which is newer, like I said, just, it helps explain what those criteria are that we've been talking about, like citing. Why does the new addition need to go in the back? And how does it impact the site, not just the building? It describes, why we talk about scale, massing, those. What was that word I just used?
Appurtenances.
Didn't learn it very well. I still can't say it. And then this one, differentiating the new from the historic building. There's always that question. Our Landmarks Commission has historically said, let's try to make it match. With the caveat being that new materials are different than historic materials. Some jurisdictions throughout the country are like, it's gotta be drastically different. Like you need to be able to walk by and not tell. Whereas we've always been, let's make it so you can't tell when you walk by is, but
Portland's a little different. I worked on a project and having to add an elevator to a historic building where it had to look similar but not the same. And
Yeah.
in a brick building.
yeah, how do you do that?
Yeah.
That's that one. I kind of paste those into there. I don't know where I grabbed this one. But I'm not sharing anymore because I'm sharing just one screen. Not the screen I'm on. This one that I cut and pasted in here had this extra sentence, which was, I think, pretty helpful. Then when we're talking about building height and the height can exceed the historic building, the height of buildings on all sides of the altered building shall be taken into consideration. Meaning your neighbors, the height of your neighbors' buildings are taken into consideration. We're just saying taken into consideration, right? A lot of times we ask people for a streetscape view. Now it's so easy with Google to get there, but yes, we look at how that addition will impact this historic structure. If you've got a one-story little guy and you're adding a little one-story next to it, no problem, right? But what if you have the tallest house in the neighborhood and then you're adding something even taller, or maybe it's a sloping site? Most of our sites are pretty flat, but
I think it's a good idea. I guess I would just be more direct. I know, and it's some of the things that Peter Meiser, redlined, things like taken into consideration, or that's pretty nebulous. And it allows a lot of leeway. And
True.
it drives city attorneys crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, why not just say, on, the height of the building on all sides can't exceed, I mean, just being more direct language rather
True,
than
yeah.
just like the initial lead-in language.
I'm with that.
It's also, I mean, it gives the applicant something concrete to rest on too. And not try and fudge it.
I think these are just same things. So then the next one. So NPS does have their own illustrated guidelines. It hasn't been republished in a long time. 1990. But these are lots of information that we don't need. They do have some good illustrations somewhere in here, but anyway. We can keep talking and I'll. I won't bore you with this, but. I mean, now it's so easy to just give some people links to all these things, but
Right.
still feel like if we don't
Include it in the
include it
code.
in ours, like.
I agree. I think people go right to the Bend code, preservation code, that's what they're gonna. So if we could include at least maybe some,
Yeah,
that would be helpful.
Yeah, especially if they are local examples.
Right, which is what he
Very
did
specific.
for us
Yeah.
on that one
Yeah.
document. Examples in the old town. Of the craftsman, the little Foursquare craftsman. Yeah, I agree.
okay, I think that's all I had.
Okay.
Just some of those sections,
Okay.
you know, at least separating out and then adding a separate section for doors and windows and.
And then some of the bigger things that we didn't talk about, you didn't talk about, are. He had questions about like, do you remember Heidi why? The demolition application request, he had a question was why is non-contributing in the same category for the demolition applications as contributing, non-contributing, you know, how that's split out. I think it was supposedly my. Observation is it's supposed to be difficult and it's not quite as difficult if it's a non-contributing structure, isn't it?
But we don't have different. Steps, like Jim was saying, you know, just in general, there's no difference in our review from non-contributing to a contributing.
I'm just, but the demolition section.
Right.
Does have that, you know.
Oh,
like,
it does have?
yeah, there's in the yeah, if you can see, there, there's a section for demolition that applies to both. And then there's an extra one.
Oh,
if
yeah.
If it's a contributing.
That's true.
So I think the why, really, he didn't, I think it just makes difficult period, but it's more difficult if it's, but that's the only place where we kind of separate those out. So. And then you had a couple questions like, do we care if there's signs on all the windows that are visible from the windows, you know, the sign section? I think the sign section could be really revamped. Basically, you know, with the freedom of speech and, you know, all the signage rules that are legal out there. I mean, I think that the sign section would be great if it just said it needs to get a sign permit and meet all the sign code sections. And then, you know, it needs to be thoughtfully placed on the building or, you know, the wall. You know, not detract from the primary significant, not obscure any significant architectural elements of the building, something like that. And then
Well, the attachment is pretty important. I don't know if I
that's
agree
an
with
attachment.
taking out these things.
Okay, I mean, just like detachment, the hiding, you know, of any obscuring of any elements. And then the ones that I think that are probably won't get through legal are the type and the font and the design. I think, you know, that probably you know, might be a little restrictive. But the size and the scale, I think those are fine. And no backlit signs, of course. And then he had, you know, in the supplemental information in the code, he says pick one. We've got the Secretary of Interior standards for the treatment of historic properties, standards for preservation. I don't quite understand that myself, but standards for
that's-
restoration.
Yeah, that's where
Construction.
we added the supplemental information with the 4
Right,
different standards or treatment approaches as a reference, because our main code is based on rehabilitation.
Okay.
But as Andy read in our opening statement, any other information that you feel is applicable.
Okay,
Well,
so should probably all stay in there, because
a lot of times we need to like, if somebody's doing a preservation project, we need to go to this section because section 102140B is the section that is
applies to that
applicable.
particular project.
Right,
Yeah.
not, I feel like every project is, burden of proof and staff reports are based off of the whole portion as opposed to really looking at,
Okay.
well, this is preservation, this is restoration,
Mhm.
this is rehabilitation, then going from there, or
Okay.
reconstruction, a few that we've had.
That's good. So I could make a recommendation that maybe I make a stab at what I collected from all of you guys in April for the design standards. And what he's put together and, I've got that, and put together a draft. And then maybe we discuss that at the next meeting.
Yeah, I like, rather than coming back and forth between,
Yeah,
yeah,
and so I can take one and mark it up and hopefully capture everybody's, and we can kind of really go through it, kind of the next. Stab at it, and see if we can agree on that, or you can agree on the big draft. How about that? Right now, we don't have any public hearings for June or August. We could just have a meeting then, if but I know a lot of people may be gone in August potentially. We could, cancel the August meeting and plan on September. Chancellor would probably have a hearing in September. Which things in the works. Whatever you prefer, I could get something together for August. But for the staff, for the week before.
that'd be good. Fine with me.
Yeah, fine with me too. I can attend.
Okay. Then we can just have kind of more or less public hearing, public meeting, regular time, and it'll be more of a work session, work on that. I'll have a good track if that's okay.
Okay.
Right.
Could it be just a work session and no public hearings? Or it has to be public if we're gonna talk?
I think it has to be a public hearing. I
Okay.
mean, we could have it as a work discussion item, we're not making it, you're not making any final decisions on it, but we're
Yeah.
continuing to move forward.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Excellent. Moving on to item 4, approval of minutes. We've all received the minutes from the July. I'm sorry, the June 18th, 2024 meeting. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion approval and we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? It passes unanimously.
I was stained because I wasn't here.
Abstain, one abstention.
Making
Was
up
not
my own
here.
words tonight.
Yeah, any communications or reports from landmarks commissioners?
I have something when you're done.
Okay. I'd say go ahead.
Okay, so we did have a request for the window change. Order. For a project that, the commission approved. Last year to add some divided lights on that. And it's not really clear in the code with what the process is to, change all of the design of the windows, not the manufacturer and the style, but. So I asked for clarification. I don't know if you wanted to handle that administratively. They're of course wanting to order the windows. They just broke yesterday, so I mean, it's not like. But I could share that with you. I've got the application of how would you like to handle something like that? Where this is a property that did not have any historic, everything was replaced, and so there isn't any real history of what they were like before. But,
You talking about the property we looked at tonight, or is this
it's
a
a
totally
totally
different?
different one. Yeah,
So it's just a style preference from the owner?
yeah, so they have, a style preference change from the owner. Is what they're asking for. Should I just bug one of you guys about it and make an administrative decision, or would you like to look at it tonight to go through and see if that's okay? It was a major remodel that went through the commission.
Trying to look at it tonight.
I would agree.
Yeah,
We're
we're
here.
here.
Okay,
It's front and center.
all right.
Have they provided any precedents of other houses that have a similar style?
Here's the order from the. From the,
Show us what house we're talking
yeah,
about.
right, I've got it up here too, let me. see if I
Thank
can
you.
Find that,
Jason Offit used to be on the commission.
yes.
Mhm.
Okay. So he did the presentation, let me find that. Pulled up the narrative from the. It's 216 lava. Yeah. So here's the property. And so these are the windows that are modern windows that were replaced over time that they did, remodel. Or before the district, I'm guessing, went into place. So here's that side. That's existing. Then. I'm doing one screen. This is the window order that was approved. There weren't a lot of divided lights showing on there. Zero Pacific windows. These were approved at the time of the review. And so I asked them to, can you mark in red where the proposed SDL window grids would be that they want to do? Would be located, and they emailed them to today. I got the meeting tonight, so see if you want to do it. So they ran over there to the window company in there, wanting to do the divided lights like those. And as well as the doors. At the top there like that. So he said. Like to add grids like this in the window photo below, see black frame window image. The plans desire to have a 1/3, 2/3 proportions. To the window sashes as shown in the photo. The plans would also like to add grids to door 125 south door out of new living room, matching what's shown for grids on the door below. Picture in the white frame. The door is staying as a swing French door. So here's the door. Here's the window. And
And we don't have any historic photos of this home?
no. Not, it was something from the 90s and it looked like place the doors too.
Say go for it. Divided
Okay.
lights look good.
I think they look good. I'm wondering if maybe you could just ask them to provide a precedent of somewhere in the neighborhood that has
Okay,
similar windows, and then it's just a staff level approval.
Okay. Provide,
I agree.
provide president and then review and if they are able to do that, approve its administrator. Okay,
And you could probably reach out to one of us if you had
questions like this in the, yeah, okay. And those are kind of things that would be nice to, kind of outline more clearly in the code, with our draft work. So that's why I kind of thought it would be good to talk about this point. Okay, that's what I've got then. I'll stop sharing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
A second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, all opposed? Okay. We're adjourned.
Thank you. I'll see you,